As Kenya bids farewell to former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, a man who shaped the nation's democratic journey for over 5 decades, we find ourselves confronting an uncomfortable truth about who we have become as a people. Even as his body makes its solemn journey from India to his final resting place in Bondo, the digital spaces where Kenyans gather have become battlegrounds of tribal animosity and hateful rhetoric. The late statesman, who passed away on Wednesday following cardiac arrest while receiving treatment in India, is being accorded a state funeral with full military honors. President William Ruto declared 7 days of national mourning, describing Odinga as Kenya's foremost statesman and one of Africa's greatest sons, a giant of democracy, a fearless freedom fighter, and a tireless warrior of good governance. Yet, in the comments sections of live broadcasts and social media platforms, a disturbing counter-narrative has emerged, one that reveals the depth of our national wounds. The online exchanges during the funeral procession paint a portrait of a nation still deeply divided along ethnic lines. While thousands lined the streets from Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, their tears and tributes expressing genuine grief, others took to keyboards to weaponize this moment of sorrow. The vitriol was not subtle. Comments openly mocking mourners, dismissing their pain, and reducing a national moment to tribal scorecards appeared with alarming frequency. What makes this particularly troubling is the timing. This is not a political debate or a policy disagreement. This is death, the great equalizer, the moment when humanity traditionally sets aside its quarrels to honor the departed. Yet even here, in the presence of mortality itself, some found it impossible to suspend their hatred. The language used was revealing. References to Wajaluo and Wakikuyu dominated the discourse, as if ethnicity, rather than citizenship or shared humanity, was the primary lens through which this moment should be understood. One commenter brazenly stated that certain communities should lead this country, comparing past state funerals in a crude attempt to establish ethnic superiority. Others dismissed the mourner's grief entirely, calling the public display chaos and childish. But let us pause here and ask ourselves, what are these online warriors truly battling? Is it really about Raila Odinga? Or is he merely a convenient symbol onto which generations of grievances, real and imagined, have been projected? Odinga's legacy as a democracy activist helped secure 2 of Kenya's most important reforms: multi-party democracy in 1991 and a new constitution in 2010. His political career spanned decades of struggle, compromise, and controversy. He was, by any measure, a complex figure whose impact on Kenya cannot be reduced to simple hero worship or vilification. Yet, in death, he has become a Rorschach test for our national psyche, reflecting back to us our deepest divisions. The funeral procession itself became a point of contention. Some criticized what they perceived as a lack of protocol, comparing it unfavorably to past state funerals. But what they missed, or chose to ignore, is that different communities have different ways of mourning. The Luo cultural traditions of receiving the dead, the public displays of emotion, the crowds that spontaneously gather, these are not signs of disrespect or disorder. They are expressions of a cultural identity that has every right to exist within our national fabric. The question then becomes, can we make space for multiple ways of being Kenyan, or must every expression of identity that differs from our own be met with contempt? Consider for a moment what this online hatred reveals about us. It exposes a profound poverty in our public discourse. We have lost the ability, or perhaps the willingness, to disagree without dehumanizing. We have forgotten that the person on the other side of the political divide is not an enemy combatant, but a fellow citizen with whom we share a country, a future, and ultimately, a common humanity. The irony here is stark. Odinga earned the nickname Agwambo, meaning mysterious one, for his ability to work with rivals. His political career was defined by his capacity to build bridges, sometimes controversially across political and ethnic lines. Yet his supporters and detractors alike seem unable to embody this same spirit of accommodation. When someone wrote that death is inevitable, it will come to us all, they spoke a truth we all know but struggle to internalize. None of us will escape this final journey. The question is, what kind of society do we want to leave behind? One where even in death, a person's mourners are subjected to ethnic slurs and mockery, where grief itself becomes tribalized. This moment, painful as it is, demands more from us. It demands that we rise above our basest instincts and recognize that a nation is not built on the domination of one group over another, but on the difficult, daily work of coexistence and mutual respect. To those who spent the funeral procession typing hateful messages, we must ask, what did you gain? Did your tribe advance? Did your preferred politicians benefit? Or did you simply add more poison to a well we all must drink from? And to those who responded with equal venom, defending their community by attacking others, you too have missed the point. We cannot heal tribalism with more tribalism. We cannot respond to hate with hate and expect anything but an endless cycle of recrimination. Upon news of Odinga's passing, hundreds of supporters from Nairobi's Kibera slum made their way in procession to his family home in Karen, many crying and waving twigs to ward off bad omens. This was not a political rally. This was grief, raw and real. And if we cannot respect grief, if we cannot allow people to mourn their own without turning it into a tribal scorecard, then we have lost something essential to our humanity. As Raila Odinga's body makes its way to Bondo for burial this Sunday, completing his wish to be interred within 72 hours of his death, we must ask ourselves what kind of Kenya we want to build. The digital spaces where we interact are not separate from the physical nation, they shape it. The hatred we normalize online seeps into our streets, our workplaces, our homes. We can do better. We must do better. Not for the politicians, not for the tribal chieftains, but for ourselves and for the generations who will inherit whatever Kenya we choose to create. Let this moment be a mirror. Look at what we have become, and then decide, is this who we want to be? May we, the living, find the wisdom to build the Kenya Raila Odinga spent his life fighting for, one where diversity is strength, not a source of endless conflict.